Welcome to Wellraiser Radio. I'm your host, Joshua Coburn. With me, as always, is Shane the Hammer Scala. It's Simon. I'm better looking than you despite my age, Sanborn.
Boing.
Nice. Today's guest is Candace from the hardcore band Walls of Jericho, and I do my best to not fangirl the entire episode because I so wanted to, I'm not going to lie. But we discuss her time on the road, being a trainer and powerlifter, as well as her charity she works with, which is called Relentless, which deals with children's cancer. So tune in right now. All right, Candace, welcome to Wellraiser Radio. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be a part of this.
Awesome. We are so pumped. And also, congratulations on the new record. We're super excited about that, or at least I am. These guys maybe not so much, since they haven't heard anything off of it yet.
We would be excited if we had heard. So that's us.
Thank you. We're super excited to finally have something out.
Yeah, it's been like 8 years, right, since The American Dream?
It has. It's been a long time, so it's definitely worth checking out.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I've been obviously spinning what's already out there, but haven't had a chance to go through the whole thing. For those who aren't aware, the new record is No One Can Save You From Yourself, correct?
Yes.
So where did that title come from?
Yep, Napalm Records.
Awesome.
Where did the title come from? It kind of just sums up everything. We as a band did it a little differently this time, where we kind of... Usually I would do like 90% of the lyrics, and this time we kind of all sat down and we would pick topics and kind of collaborate and like what we wanted to say, the messages we wanted to get out, things that were our ideals, and we all agreed on that title. It kind of just like came together because of the fact that like in so many different instances in the world, like within personal life and political issues, social issues, it really all comes down to self. You know, and the life that you create for yourself, and what you project into the world, you know, based off of fear. And so we really are our own worst enemy. So it's that kind of idea of that, like, a lot of times we live based off of fear, or the society that, you know, tries to put fear into us, you know, war, fear, you know.
Wow. Rules
and fear, that whole kind of idea of that, you know, if we kind of learn to stop being our own worst enemy, we open up, we can maybe see things a little different and choose differently.
Absolutely. So. I love that you're kind of taking away people like playing that victim role. You know what I mean? You're putting it back on them, asking people to,
that's a whole
to take responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Accountability.
Awesome. Yeah.
More
absolutely.
Accountability, less apathy. You know, more unity, less self, you know, so.
Yes.
Now, Candace, when I was talking to Josh before you joined us, because I am such a virgin in this hardcore genre, it's such a juxtaposition between the visual and the audible compared to the lyrics, right? So I look at Josh. Josh is very heavily tattooed, as are you. You have your sleeves and whatnot, but then you're going to music festivals like Hellfest, right? And the names of different bands are so aggressive. They're so angry sounding, right? But then your lyrics are a completely different. It's a complete juxtaposition to like the imagery that goes into the bands.
Yeah, it seems harsh, but yet it's more of a positive movement in a sense. You can't judge a book by its cover kind of thing, you know, when it comes down to it. And it's aggressive because we aggressively have something to say, you know, like we feel powerful about what we are talking about, like that maybe we see injustices in the world and we really feel like, you know, it's like a child feeling like the only way he can get attention is if he screams, in a sense.
Wow.
You know, you gotta like throw it out there, and like sometimes the only reason for people to hear it is if it's thrown in their face. You know.
And do you kind of like that? Do you kind of like that contradiction between those two things? I mean, I think that's something that you can play off of that pretty fun.
Yeah, I do. It is pretty fun. I mean, because we get up there and we have like, you know, they are powerful and they're positive lyrics. At the same time, you're addressing things that are darker. and sometimes you're addressing like a negative issue, so it's hard to make it so it's not just all so angry and aggressive. You want it to have a positive spin in the end. So for me at first, when I was younger, I definitely had a lot of anger, and that was how music was how I kind of focused, and how I it was like therapy for me. And so as I got older, I wasn't so angry about it anymore. So you're on stage and you're like smiling.
You're smiling, but you're screaming.
So much fun, but you're singing about such crazy stuff, or you're screaming.
Yeah.
You're screaming, angry person. And I was like, no, I'm not really angry. Like I am, but I'm not who I am. I'm angry about an issue that I am addressing at this moment,
Right, you're not tearing heads off stage, but when you hit the stage, you got
right.
the mic in your hand. It's time to address those topics forcefully, right?
Right.
Nice.
Exactly.
I think you have it down pretty good, Josh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. He knows what's up.
So
that's it, because the thing is you can't get it. You can't be a part of hardcore and not get it.
Yeah, guys,
it draws a certain type of person,
So to shift gears just a little bit, I know one of the first singles release is called Relentless, but I also am aware that you work with a company, a charity that's called Relentless, or references Relentless. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we decided to start writing a new record, I actually had a hard time writing lyrics. I had, I think my daughter was about 2 when we started talking about writing a new record. And I kind of had been in that mode, straight,
right.
like mommy mode, like life is great, blah, 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 And you're like, so what do you talk about? What do I write about? Don't want to just keep hitting the same issues before. Don't want to talk about dirty diapers, like you got to figure out what you're going to do. And it took me a minute, kind of had like a writer's block. Or just the way I used to write was very different. Like I would lay down in bed and something would pop in my head and I'd get up and I'd write all night long, put on a cup of coffee. Well, that just wasn't my lifestyle anymore, So I became I started lifting for a charity called Relentless. And what this is twice a year they do a powerlifting meet where they raise money for kids with cancer and other life-threatening illness. And so I had been powerlifting at that point for about a year or so, maybe a little bit longer. And, just like with music, we use it kind of also to spread a message. I felt this is just perfect for me. I can lift like I love to do and actually help make a change in the world and like give hope to these kids. So it just impacted my life in such a positive way, just seeing these people who were just so selfless, giving everything they can to these kids, these kids who are going through so much, even infants. It's just so difficult to watch, it's like, how can you complain about your life anymore when you're watching this? And so it definitely so I wanted to write a song for all these kids, for the people that are a part of it, for their families, just show them how much they've inspired me and they inspire everybody else, and just kind of like bring awareness to like what it is that they go through. I mean, child cancer is something that is known, but there needs to be more awareness about it, so
right.
That's where Relentless kind of came from, and it was the very first song for the new record.
Excellent.
And so we raise money for it pretty much every chance that we get. We just did our record release show for Detroit. We did back in March. We raised like $700 for Relentless, and I still participate, and I'll be lifting in November at the meet.
How did you get into the whole powerlifting lifestyle? I mean, to Shane's point, he brought up earlier before we jumped into the interview that that to some degree it seems like there's a large separation there, but on other levels it kind of seems that there's some kind of connection. Shane, do you want to jump into that a little bit?
Well, I had been working out since I was 13. One of the things that to me got me into working out and being as aggressive about it as I was as a child, I saw a lot of violence in my home, a lot of violence directed towards my mother, a lot of violence directed towards myself, and I kind of really fell in love with the idea of superheroes, right? That was my thing. I mean, it seems like you found your place in the hardcore music, and my thing was I found this idea of if I could become a superhero, I could protect people from violence. I could protect myself from getting hurt, or I could escape this, right?
Well, I think it's very interesting you say that, because so, music was my outlet. I also grew up in a household where it was very violent, and I watched a lot of violence for me.
Candace, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, you were cutting out a little bit.
I never wanted to be weak, and so when I found, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we got you.
Okay, so yeah, I never wanted to be, like I said, I never wanted to be a victim, and I never wanted to be weak. I always wanted to be strong. I even did like boxing when I was younger. And so hardcore music kind of was that for me also, is, being aggressive, just being out there, like putting yourself out there and basically saying that you're not going to take shit. So as a woman, like that's a pretty big step in itself, just verbally.
Huge. Being
able to like put your foot down. And then at one point we weren't touring as much, and I don't know, I found powerlifting, and in that I was just like, I no longer felt vulnerable, and I no longer felt weak, and I felt like I had found the one thing that would mentally and physically make me strong as a whole.
Now I did,
and so it definitely comes from that, and then now it's a whole different thing with my daughter of like showing her that women can do this.
Awesome.
And that you can follow your dream and you can be strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I know on, I think it was Instagram, there's a photo that, I don't know if it was on yours. I shared it, but it was a photo of you lifting and like a photo of your daughter watching. Like,
yeah,
that was one of the most intense photos. Like, it says so much just in one photo. It's crazy. I mean, it echoes everything you're saying. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Like, it was actually, we videotape a lot of our like lifting sessions because I train with like 5 other women, and so it's all women. And Patty, she also has kids, so our kids would come. It's a very small gym, so it's not like a regular commercial gym. It would just literally be us in there, and our daughters would come and hang out, and their friends. And so they saw someone during the video that was happening and screenshotted it and like, yeah, took a picture and sent it to me, and I thought, how cool is that? Yeah, I didn't even notice she was standing there watching,
Yeah, that's amazing.
But that matters. We're making impressions for the rest of their lives, So
I feel like I did powerlifting for about 1.5 years. I competed just minorly, right?
Oh, okay.
Because I just wanted to. I did like the traditional bodybuilding up until I was about 26, and then I was like, I really want. I had met somebody who did powerlifting, and I just wanted to understand it better. So,
right, they're 2 different worlds for sure. Right.
Yeah, for sure. So to have just a little, like I dipped my toe in that water for 1.5 years, and to me, I think that is the perfect. It's almost in line perfectly with hardcore music. Like,
it really is.
The music that you listen to when you're lifting, the attitude that you have when you want to get just that 1 rep.
Right. That focus, put all of it in right here, right now.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Because this is what makes or breaks. It's not about the reps. It's about like right here getting this one thing. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Also very interesting that it's like hardcore music and then you have powerlifting. They're both pretty underground, also.
Right.
They're not very mainstream. It's like they're both kind of a hard pill to swallow.
Speaking of that, like, how do you feel about that? Do you wish, I mean, there are bands like Hatebreed and stuff like that are crossing over a little more mainstream, but do you want it to kind of, do you want it to kind of stay on the fringe a little bit? Or like, what if like Metallica brought heavy metal to this like popular mainstream area? What do you think
it's better being underground. I think that's the whole, that's part of it. It's that passion for something that's not so accessible, I feel it would change things for sure if it was too much, and it would change the vibe of shows. A lot of hardcore, a lot of like what's cool about hardcore is the intimacy of it, is the like low profile, no rock star kind of attitude, more of a lifestyle. Here the best kind of places to play are like 500 or less cap rooms that have like no barrier.
Right.
So people can just go crazy, and unfortunately we bring more attention to things like that. It kind of creates like you get too many people who don't understand the rules, and then you get and then people get hurt, and it's just different, so I feel like it's almost a better thing that it stays.
Sure.
Right
Also, one of those, I think too, I mean, it'll kind of change its uniqueness in a way, because
it will.
you have this thing kind of that you can control, it's yours, and then you start taking it to higher levels, and you have higher expectations, and you have people that are counting on certain things, and that takes away from what it sounds like exactly what you want to be doing.
Right. Too many outside elements, and it's just, I feel like it's really good where it's at, and that's the whole point of it. But the one thing that is that with hardcore music, the whole entire point is that what makes it different than, say, other hard music is that there's a huge message behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what always drew me to hardcore. Is it wasn't all the aggressiveness, like being so aggressive was definitely one thing, but the fact that they had something to say, something other than just like money and bitches, like they really, like they'd basically just be calling things out, calling people out, calling injustices out, just saying what they thought was wrong with the world and wanting to and demanding change, so that is one thing that I think would be a positive thing if it got bigger. Right. Is because maybe those messages would get out more. People seeing that how passionate people are about change in the world, so that is one thing, but there's ways to do that. So
yeah, I love the fact that not only are you guys talking about change, but you're taking action on that change. I mean, Relentless shows that. You have guys like John Joseph from the Cro-Mags out there doing benefit shows all the time, feeding the homeless and all those things that he does.
Yep.
So it's it's awesome to see that movement really turn into action. That's amazing.
Absolutely, and that's something that has grown in the hardcore scene over the past couple of years. It really is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's like not only do we now, it's almost like you had a bunch of younger people who know how to make it happen, and now we're all older, but we're still a part of it. Mm-hmm. So it's like now we know how to kind of direct that energy and how to really make the change. Like we've always spoken about like rape awareness, like the rape culture. And I know for myself, like I always just even talking about it was a huge thing, Absolutely. Just talking about it in songs or addressing it on stage. But like, it's like now through doing this Relentless stuff, that's probably the next thing that we will be raising money for is, there's a woman in Australia who started a campaign called Still Not Asking For It. And it's a whole like photography portfolio, like, of just people like pretty much naked, kind of addressing the fact that no matter what you do, no matter what you look like, there's still no excuse to ever put harm on another human being, So it's like, I love that like now one door has opened and other doors are opening, These are ways that we can keep kind of bringing awareness to the things that we're passionate about in our lives.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you kind of brought up that, a lot of the people in the hardcore scene and the music scene in general are kind of getting older and giving direction to the younger individuals who are coming into it, who are angry like we were and who are kind of that's what this whole Wellraiser Radio show is really about. That's what all my speaking when I travel and speak in schools, that's what it's based in, is that specifically, like that PMA, the positive mindset and making change. So that's that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I have that tattooed on me.
PMA?
PMA.
Nice.
Yep.
I think that's what's going on the right side of my skull, actually, because I have Be Kind tattooed on my left side, so I got to do PMA on the other, I think.
Nice.
Hey, Candace, we read in the past that you talked about not wanting to be a role model, and was it more of not wanting to have yourself in the limelight and that kind of prestige? Because we do talk a lot about humanity's celebrities, is kind of what we call them on this show, people that are really doing great things, and even though just like any of us, we make mistakes and we're flawed individuals and things like that.
Right.
You can be do you feel you can be a great role model? Because I mean, even with lack of a better word, flaws that we all have, you can still promote things like you're doing right now. I mean, that seems like I would want you as a role model for my daughter because of what you are promoting and how you're kind of living your life.
Well, I feel better about it now. Like I remember when I would make that statement a lot when I was younger, because that's exactly what it was. I did not want to be in the limelight. I was very shy, and like I loved being in a band, but I didn't do it for attention. So, and then just like you said, people will put you under the microscope, and it happened. It kind of happened right away to me, and so I had like totally backed away from ever feeling like I should take on that role, because I was like, I don't want to be in the limelight. I don't want my life under a microscope. Like, I'm just not that open of a person. And now as I do get older, again, I completely agree with you. Like, you can be a flawed individual and still be a really good role model, because we all have to, like, there's got to be contrast in what we do in our lives. We have to make mistakes so we can learn to continue to move forward. And it's like, the people who never make mistakes, why would you want them as a role model? It means they don't know how to get through any of it.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, that's how I always feel. So, but no, I do feel now like absolutely, I'm a mother, you know, and so I take that role every single day. Now I kind of live my life that way. What would I want to do? What would I want my daughter to do? You know, so.
Right. And if you think about it, I mean, I know I talk to my own kids this way too. Is like this life is nothing but making mistakes and learning from them. How else do we really do anything? Especially when you're talking about your kids, it is about messing up on a continuous basis and learning from it. And just hopefully, as we get older, we start figuring these things out and don't take the same stumbles over and over again. So I definitely see your perspective on that.
So speaking of being a mom and obviously in powerlifting and a touring musician, I mean, there's obviously, I mean, I travel a lot. There's not a lot of balance with that, unfortunately. How do you make that work?
Yeah, so it's hard. And well, our band has always kind of put family first. Aaron has 2 kids, Dustin has a kid, so does Chris, and then I have a daughter now, and you know, so we stepped back. That's why everyone thinks we disappeared for like 8 years, and we didn't. We continued to tour in Europe because because one, we wanted to continue to play music. We didn't want to just stop. 2, but we had to find a balance of, like, in Europe you can go over and you can be there for like a week and come home.
Right.
You know, in the US it's much harder to do a short tour, and even a short tour here in the US is like 3 weeks.
Right.
You know, and then we're not having a new record out makes it even harder to get on good tours. So it was like we kind of had to sacrifice one for another, and that's fine. We were all willing to do that sacrifice because we just enjoyed it. We went from touring 10 months out of the year to basically only doing 2 short tours, like 2 weeks long, and then like a couple weekends, and then that was it. That was where we found was like a good balance for us. So I was still home,
sure,
you know, over 75% of the time, you know, like. And then now we have a new record. We knew we were going to kind of take this step. We knew that meant we'd have to tour a little bit more, but all of our kids are older. Like my daughter, she now understands, like, I'm going to be gone for 7 sleeps. She can look at a calendar. She can tell, you know, I can Skype with her, you know, and we can actually have conversations. She can tell me about her day. Like, she knows I'm not just sleeping. So
Nice.
I feel more comfortable, but I'll still probably only tour like a third out of the year. Like we still will pick our tours carefully, and we do it because we still want to be able to do what we love to do while being around the people that we love.
Right.
You know, because
that makes a lot of
deserves
sense.
to have me here.
When it comes sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, but it's worth it. You know, it's worth figuring out the balance because you want to show your kids that, like, your dreams are also worth fighting for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what I was going to say.
You know, that you don't want them to have kids and just stop. You know, like,
right.
It's important that we do these things.
Well, I think it's great too. You bring up a little bit from the business side of, you know, heading over to Europe for tour and doing that for, you know, a couple of weeks and coming home. I mean, here you're in Texas for 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
And I don't think a lot of people get it.
Yeah.
Who wants to be in Texas for 3 straight weeks?
Yeah,
too?
good point.
Right,
good
but
point.
they don't get it. Yeah. What do you do? You can't. Yeah. It's not easy to do.
Well, do you train on the road? I mean, when you're out, do you
I do.
Like, parking lot workouts?
Yeah, parking lot workouts. At first, we used to have, I think it was Ignite, who always, there's a certain company that you get all of your, like, equipment from when you're overseas. And so everyone would just leave their equipment with these people.
Right.
And then, so I think it was Ignite that actually had, like, barbells and weights.
Nice.
And so they would let other bands take it out with them when they were on tour. And then I remember Chris got a giant, like, 70-pound kettlebell, and then we would just bring stuff that we could, and we'd work out on the road. Like, and then we now have, like, gyms on our rider. Where,
awesome.
We ask the clubs to find gyms for us.
Sweet.
So we don't have to, like, try to find them, you know?
Yeah, that's
when
the way
we
to
get
do
in
it.
town.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, I want nothing but green M&Ms. You have,
Right.
I want a gym
We have
on
a
my
gym.
rider.
we just want a gym. And if not, I always bring bands with me, like these resistance bands that I bring on that I get from, like, Elite FTS or Westside Barbell. Both of them have, like, just these, like, micro minis and mini bands. So I usually have mini bands, monster bands, and then light bands that I bring on. And so I can deadlift with the light bands, and I can do upper body stuff with the other bands, and I just kind of get at it and do high rep, kind of a little more bodybuilding style when I'm on tour if I need to.
Do you have
so you're not taxing your nervous system out as much. So
do you have a favorite lift? What's your favorite movement of all your powerlifting?
Oh, the deadlift is my favorite.
That's the greatest. I love it too.
Of course, Sai is asking that. He's really into what do you do again? CrossFit. He's got big CrossFit hands. Big CrossFit
it's just like all out. You just get to go all out. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously technique does matter, but like technique matters so much on squatting and benching. That's nice to just like let loose and get crazy.
Yeah, but deadlifting's the best. I like that.
All right, so Candace, I wanted to ask you, going into this, being a performer in this genre.
Hello?
Can you
I'm sorry, what'd you say? Sorry, you cut out.
Yeah. Being a performer in this genre, is it hard for you or was it difficult for you to break into being the lead singer for such an aggressive type of band? Or no?
No, not in Detroit. No, because in Detroit, like I'd been going to shows for so long at that point, like everybody knew me. You know, so it was like a big family. You know, it's just kind of one of those things. And so there was a band that would play, and they actually had two singers, and one singer left. And so I just knew all the lyrics, and I jumped on in.
Nice. That's like Henry Rollins
and they
style.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so it was pretty cool. And then like within like that year, Walls of Jericho formed after Earth Mover broke up, and they were looking for a singer, and they kind of just tried people out. And I knew all of them, and so I just went and tried out, and bam, that was it. Like it was people were pretty open to it. And I mean, I got a bit of a resistance, like people saying like, oh, you're just doing it for a gimmick, which is funny. Like who would ever start a hardcore band? You know, it's not like you're getting rich quick or nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta like doing it to do it. It's just one of those things. So, but so I actually used that. I didn't mind. Like, I mean, I did it. Like hearing that kind of negative stuff in a music scene that you love was hard. You know, it's hard to see a bit of the sexism that is underlined there in the scene. Still, it's gonna be everywhere. You know.
But it's not overwhelming for you. Right?
Huh?
It's not overwhelming for you, though, right?
No, it just fueled me. It really just fueled me to prove people wrong.
Awesome.
You know, and
so that said, I mean, you know, rock had the Runaways and Heart and all those kinds of bands, but hardcore didn't have like a representing female. That ultimately became you. I mean, do you feel like a pioneer to that end?
I like people talk about that a lot, and I mean, it makes sense. Like, you know, obviously, like we had said, like I have a hard time like being like, oh yeah, that was me. I just, you know, because if anybody's gonna get in a band and like they have the balls to do it themselves, like they deserve the credit to do it, you know. But yeah, at that time there was nobody else who has done it as long, if that makes sense. You know, there has been girls that have come, but a lot of people, they only stick around for a little while and then that's it. I think there was the Donuts, but she didn't scream. She was a clean singer.
Right.
And then you had there were like metal bands that did it, but not in hardcore. You know, like Karen Crisis.
Oh yeah, Crisis.
And like some people will say OTAP, but I'm just like we're worlds apart. You know. Yeah, absolutely. Completely different music.
And none of them get to like step on stage with Madball either. Like that's all you. Right. That's pretty legendary.
Right, absolutely. That's true. I was so stoked to do that song.
Yeah.
You couldn't even believe it. Yeah, when Freddie asked, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll be right there.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, that's
growing up listening to him.
For sure, that's definitely my go-to beginning of workout song. You know,
anytime.
Awesome. So, going back a little bit, you mentioned, you know, kind of the hardcore lifestyle and the stage barriers, and you know, people on stage, off stage, like that whole kind of thing. Now that there's been issues like, you know, Dimebag from Pantera got unfortunately killed on stage, and you know, there's been other kind of safety issues. Do you worry about that at this point?
It enters your mind.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd be lying if I said it didn't enter my mind. You know, like things that happened in Paris, like it enters your mind. You can't help it. You know, but you just keep doing it. Again, it's like that same thing. You just like the marathon bombings in Boston. Like, people ran it the next year. You can't let them win.
Right.
You know, it really is that whole mentality. Like, those threats will always be there. You never know what is going to happen. Should be grateful for every single day, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys just being in Europe, right? You guys just got back recently from some shows over there, correct? I mean, was it?
Yep.
Did you guys play Paris at all?
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, well, not Paris, but we played France, like a small town in France.
Sure.
But it's like, and you understand like what is happening. It's like, just it's you get it. It's the clubs that are like a bigger gathering. That's what they aim for, and so you never, it's just things that you're aware of, or even just like that fire that happened.
Right.
With the, because like when you're in Europe, you're in clubs where it's like there's no back entrance, and you're like, how am I getting out here? If something goes down. But that's just me. Like I'm always kind of like that. Like I kind of like scope out the place first, and then I figure which is the quickest exit.
I don't want to diss America here, but I was like, is there a reason? Do you feel like the crowds are different in Europe somehow, or different than? Is it really just the tour, like that touring schedule? I understand the idea of 3 weeks is much different than.
Oh, it really is the touring schedule. I mean, the crowds are a little different, but this is what the touring schedule is that you can go over there for a smaller amount of time, and like, obviously it's not always about money, but you don't want to pay to tour. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, it's like a band won't last very long. It is your job, So when over there's not that many shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are way more now, but especially in the beginning, it was like more few and far between when American bands would come over. So you get more people that would come out to a show, making it easier for bands to travel.
Right.
Here you're saturated. So
totally saturated.
It's like, there's a show every other day.
But the crowds are very similar, do you feel?
They are. Yeah, the kids are. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
The dancing style is pretty similar, style of dressing and everything. So.
Nice. So to switch gears just a little bit, you talked about kind of your younger life, living kind of a bit, coming from a hard family life and being angry. What was it that got you through those darkest times back then? Was it just the music? Was there something else you kind of turned to?
Well, yeah, honestly, music, because I wasn't into like drinking or anything. For a long time, I was straight edge, and I didn't, because honestly, like I felt like poison was a huge part of the abuse. That's kind of how I looked at it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really thankful that I didn't go down that road. A lot of my friends did, like start abusing drugs and things like that. But music was pretty much all I had.
Sure. So that said, I mean,
and that like says hardcore saved my life. It's like Wisdom in Chains. I think it's one of their lyrics, and it did. It absolutely did. It gave me something to do. It gave me somewhere to be, something to be a part of that was positive. And that. Even though people look at it as like an aggressive thing and people don't understand it, it really was such a positive thing for me.
Definitely.
I needed to be angry. I needed to get all of that aggression out.
Who inspired you at that
was
time?
There.
At that time when you were young like that as a teenager, like who inspired you back then?
So I was talking about this the other day. Like the band that kind of changed everything for me really was Metallica. Like they started it for me. I was in middle school. I remember like I stole my dad's tape, his cassette tape, and it was like a single of One.
Oh,
that
nice.
Song One, and it like I would just headbang till I felt like my neck was gonna break, like over and over and over and over and over. But it changed the way I thought and everything. Like even before that, I would try to listen to like different styles of music, but I still dress like my friends. I still dress like whatever, typical sixth grader. But like this, I was like super like, oh, I'm gonna dress the way I want. I started dressing like being a little more grunge, and then I found like Minor Threat and started getting into more punk rock stuff.
Totally. Like
Born Against, which is a little grindcore stuff, and it just kind of opened that door to me trying to like, find other music that was like that.
Yeah, you just described my entire childhood.
Did your
right.
Were your parents really supportive of all of that, or were they taken back by how aggressively you went into hardcore music?
They weren't. So, my father passed when I was like 15, so he kind of just like passed right for all that, which was good because I like I said, like I'd watched a lot of abuse happen in my family, and it kind of set me up to just do whatever the hell I wanted at that point. I was no longer scared of him, and I was going full force. I shaved my head.
Whoa, intense.
I got my nose pierced. My mom was a little freaked out. She was definitely a little freaked out, but I didn't care. I mean, honestly, at that point, I just didn't care. I needed it. I needed an outlet, So she wasn't like, And then I started working. I became vegan and straight edge, and so my mom like didn't pay for any. I kind of just took care of myself.
But
so.
I think that there was an interview I listened to not long ago where you mentioned that while everyone was kind of calling you out for maybe looking or appearing like you're not going anywhere, or that maybe you weren't making progress, that you're kind of like, no, I got this. I know where I'm going. I was driven and I know what's up. I mean, can you talk a little about
absolutely.
that?
Because your family is just like, what is going on? They don't know. You have like nose piercings and spiky hair and purple hair, and you're definitely not the status quo. And if they don't understand things, they fear it, right? And so if they don't understand it and they fear it, then it must be wrong. And so that's kind of like always what they put on me. That it was wrong, that I wasn't obviously doing the right things in my life, but I was, and I knew it. So I just kind of pushed myself away from all of them and just trusted myself.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad I did.
Definitely. I would certainly agree.
Do you have so did your relationship with your mother, was that kind of a hard one back then? And if it was, has it gotten better through the years?
It was. It definitely was. But as we got older and I think I became more sure of myself, she became more sure of me too, And so it definitely, we kind of mended all of that.
Great.
So at this point, do you catch your mom busting out some moves in the pit or anything at shows?
Well, my mom passed in 2006.
I'm sorry to hear that.
She came to she saw one show, and it was in Michigan, and it was like a really big show, and she was right up front getting crazy. It was awesome.
That's pretty huge.
Yeah, by the end, she totally understood where I was and why I was there, and she supported me.
Wow, how fulfilling is that? That's so great.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It really was, and that would be something I always do for my daughter. No matter what, you got to trust them.
Absolutely. I know people always ask me, what are you going to do when your kids rebel? I'm like, what are they going to do? Be dentists and lawyers?
Right.
And they can't get too crazy because we've already been there, So Shane,
right, absolutely.
Shane just asked, who inspired you back in the day? Who inspires you today?
Oh man, who inspires me today? I kind of just surround myself with people who inspire me, if that makes sense.
Totally.
We moved to the sweatshop, which was a gym in Ohio, for a little while because there was this woman who was the strongest woman in the world. Her name was Laura Phelps. Sweat. And my best friend Katie was there, and I met some incredible women, Amber, Heidi, and Janine, and Patty, and lifted with them. And they were women that inspired me. We all pushed each other, and then being a part of Relentless, you're kind of a part of it 24/7. It's not just something you do once a year. Those are people who every single day try to give hope. So it's I just try to surround myself with people who inspire me all the time, and hope that I can be that for them also. And
Great
of course,
answer.
my daughter,
Yeah, absolutely. What a great answer.
I think some people would be able to handle Relentless, and some people would be able to handle powerlifting, and some people would be able to handle the hardcore music, because each of those can be so time-consuming, and some people can only handle being a good mom.
Right.
But you are taking all of those things and somehow managing them. How do you possibly divvy up your time?
It's hard. It's hard. It's just it's carefully. I do it carefully. I have a good support system. I do. I have great friends and great family, and so they help. I work while I'm home, and I'm a coach at a gym, and I work at a bakery, and then I have my daughter, and we just kind of make it work.
Is it hard working at a bakery and then being a power lifter?
Oh, no, because when you're a power lifter, you get to eat what you want if you want.
Oh, you're right.
I'm naturally a thinner person, so it's better for me to kind of gain weight. And so
I used to use that metabolism excuse for a long time, and then it just it caught up with me.
Yeah,
so it doesn't work anymore.
Age, right?
I just have to keep lifting, and then it won't catch up. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Hey, Candace, is there? Obviously you love hardcore. Is there different genres of music that you really enjoy listening to that might be surprising? Because I'm gonna assume, in my head, I'm assuming, she's hardcore all the time. So is there other genres that you really like listening to?
It's definitely not.
What else do you like listening to?
Honestly, I listen to a lot of country, older country. I like older, doo-wop. What's really funny is my daughter has her own playlist, and she has recently gotten me into. I'm not really big into pop, and this singer-songwriter named Sia. She's huge. Everybody knows her, but it's really funny that my 4-year-old has actually gotten me into somebody, but she's pretty damn incredible. Like her slower music, you know. So I like all kinds of music.
Awesome.
I'm not, yeah.
Well, I think we always pigeonhole people. I remember hearing like an interview with Janet Jackson way back in the day, and she said some of her favorite music to listen to is Metallica because of the bass lines. And I was like,
that's
oh,
awesome.
Okay,
right.
she's a Jackson.
Because
so I think
music is all about the vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the emotion that you're feeling from the music, and so like, it's just I'll listen to anything. So personally,
awesome.
At this point in your life, do you feel like you are living your dream?
Pretty much. I guess so. Pretty much. Yeah. You should stop and always think about where you're at. I'm pretty much there. You know, I'd like to actually like get a little more involved, like I said, in the other charities. Maybe a volunteer while I'm at home, and but we're just really kind of trying to find all that balance right now, and it will come together. So it's like I appreciate what I have now for now, you know, and then just every day keep trying to move forward.
Definitely. I would like to take just a second and acknowledge kind of a few little things. Like when you speak, you don't say we're trying to work it out, we're trying to figure it out, we'll get there, whatever. You say we will figure it out.
Sure.
And you're very, you know, proactive in your speech. It's something I talk about a lot is that. A lot of people kind of don't allow that in their life to say, no, I will do that because they're afraid of failing. How do you feel about that? I mean, obviously you mentioned earlier that, you know, failure is a part of it, but you just said, you know, we will get there. I mean, you just don't quit is what I'm kind of guessing, correct?
Right, you can't, you know, and I think actually powerlifting has really helped with that, that mentality of just like, you know, sometimes you're going to fail and you know, the bar, you know, you never know if you're going to get it.
Sure. Right. Because you always have.
So like life is like that too. Like, because when as long as you get back under and try again, chances are you're going to get it.
Right.
You know, it's just, I don't know. I don't want to accept no.
But it's all about that support
I'll accept
system,
failure, but I won't stop trying.
Right.
I like that.
But it's all about that support system that you talked about earlier. Like with powerlifting, if you wanted to get your personal best, you can't do that without a spotter. You know,
That's
and
true.
you can't get your personal best in your private life or in your business life without that type of spotter, without that support system, without that somebody helping you with, you know, with your daughter or with whatever you need that spot for. So having that support system is huge. And
Absolutely. And being open enough to take it, you know?
Yeah,
and to see and recognize that it's there. Absolutely.
So we're kind of nearing the end of our time here.
Okay.
And,
I was like, sorry, I'm with my daughter right now. So
no, you're doing awesome. No worries
around.
here. I don't think any of us got any complaints.
No.
But number one, in my eyes, the award for most inspiring lyric ever sung should definitely go to the I'll go down in history or I'll go down in flames. Like, amazing. Seriously. Like, when I heard that for the first time, I'm just like, Lord help me, that's going to push me forever.
Okay, I feel good because I wrote that one. So
nice.
you know, like I said, we all kind of wrote stuff together, but I wrote those lyrics.
Yeah, nailed it. And it just goes along with exactly what you're just saying. Like you just you try it again, you pick it back up, and you move.
Right. Right. Because you never know what's gonna happen next. Absolutely.
Exactly.
You can't start. You know, you can't win if you don't start. That kind of mentality. You know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So one thing that we do kind of to wind down every show is we ask, or we do the Fast Five, which is essentially 5 questions which we toss to you, and you basically answer back as quickly as you can. And actually, you kind of, you already kind of knocked one of these off the list, but we'll hit it already.
Involuntarily.
Yeah, exactly. So I just mentioned the most, how inspiring that lyric was for me. What's the most powerful or inspiring lyric that you know?
Oh my gosh! Answer it as fast as you know. Terrible. Okay, what immediately comes to mind is demonstrating my style. I can't believe I'm going to say that. Total madball lyric. But it's like such a true statement and everything. No matter what you do, you always have to be you. You know, and like it will get you so much further than trying to be somebody else.
Great answer.
It's such a simple lyric. There's so much to it, you know?
Uh-huh. Still a great answer, even though it seems maybe a little silly out of the gate. It's still great. So you kind of answered this already, but small club or large festival?
Oh, yeah, small club. Large festivals are amazing because it's just insane high energy, but small clubs because people can jump on each other. You are a part of the show. You're not just the show.
Yeah,
That
'cause
makes
it's
sense.
it's tough
yeah.
when you're in front of 40,000 people, but you're also 25 foot from the front row.
Right.
So, so Rod Stewart's "Do You Think I'm Sexy" or Billy Squire's "My Kind
Sorry.
of Lover"?
Oh, Rod Stewart. I'm always a big fan of Rod Stewart.
Nice. Okay, so one piece of advice you wish you could give yourself at 18 years old.
I've actually read this somewhere. Probably some stupid meme, but tell people to fuck off as much as possible.
Wow,
I love it.
That is intense.
Totally true statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
And to kind of wrap this all up, where can people find out about what you and Walls of Jericho are up to and what's next for you guys?
Oh, we have a Facebook, just Walls of Jericho Facebook, and then we have an Instagram, a Twitter, and then we also do have like a Walls of Jericho website now that we just put up. My sister-in-law actually did it for us. It's pretty badass. So we're all over just gotta kind of type us. And if you just Google search our name, everything will pop up. Oh, so many like videos and things like that. So
Excellent.
it's out there.
Well, thank you so much for spending
Thank you.
Yeah,
almost an
thank you,
hour with
Candace.
It was
us.
a real pleasure. Thanks for introducing us to this new genre. I'm looking forward to diving in a little bit.
Oh, no, good. I'm glad. I hope you like it. Check it out. For real. There's a lot to it.
Absolutely.
So
Wonderful. Thanks again for spending the time. We appreciate it. And again, congratulations on the record and being a kick-ass mom.
thank you very much. All right. Thank you guys for your time.
Yeah.
Yep,
it
have a
easy.
great one.
See you later,
Bye-bye.
Candace.
So that was pretty awesome, huh?
yeah.
What'd you think as far as it goes? You said there's kind of a paradox or juxtaposition. What are your thoughts at this point?
Yeah, there is, but throughout the whole thing, because I've done a little powerlifting, throughout the whole thing, I just kept thinking that this is the musical version of powerlifting.
Yeah.
Right? And so once I was able to frame it mentally like that, it made sense to me.
Sure.
You know, because never is powerlifting going to be okay in the middle of a gym that you go to right now where people are doing their regular bodybuilding type of workouts
Right.
or the stay-at-home mom on the treadmill. She's not going to want to hear people screaming and grunting and the chalk on their hands. They don't want to see that aggressiveness, right? But there's a need for it. Just like hardcore music, not a lot of people want that in their face all the time, which is what Candace said. She kind of likes it that it's on the down low, that it's underground a little bit. And I think people seek that out. People who want it seek it out,
Right.
which then the people that are standing in front of you on that stage, I'm guessing, they want to be here. You know what
Sure.
I'm saying? So, yeah, it's definitely something that it's hard to mix in with the social norms, but it's something that we definitely need.
I think it's an amazing, I never put that together until right now. So, but I'm feeling it 100%. I mean, I even mentioned it, what do I put on when I hit the gym? One of the first things I put on is Madball,
Sure.
Exactly.
I mean, I think what I am going to enjoy more and more about this podcast is that we're going to be able to meet people that break down even my kind of societal kind of image of people. So she was hardcore music, and so I didn't know what she was gonna. What was she? She just gonna say "fuck you" to everything we said. I mean, I wasn't sure how things were, and I have this an assumption because I just know of the videos I've seen, some of the articles I read. I knew she was really well spoken, but I just wasn't sure. And then to hear somebody, talk about being a mom. I mean, very normal kind of things. I think that's one of those things that's going to be great. It's very relatable.
Sure.
A kid who's going to hear about this and maybe struggling with something is going to go, oh, man, look at what she's done with her life. Is working at a bakery, doing hardcore, going to Europe, has a kid, and yet she's the happiest she's been in her life.
Right.
And
that
that's something great.
That brings up a really good point, too, is that, you don't have to do one thing. We were just talking before we dove into this show today, you and I love to do everything. There's no reason not to do it all, provided you can make it work. Like she said, she is making it work. I think that's pretty awesome. But I agree, kind of getting that inside look of, it's not all just about being on the stage and, drinking beers and passing out and then, hitting the stage again the next day. There's a whole lot more to it. There's a family life. There's life off the road. There's a lot of other
and then hearing her say that she approached it not to be center stage because of the love of the music, I'm trying to wrap my head around that idea of I would assume that if I was a good enough singer to go on stage and be in a band, that I'd be wanting that attention, that I'd be doing part of it for that attention. I wouldn't just solely be doing it to just because I love the music. I'm sure that would be part of it too. So I'm trying to think of somebody going on stage solely because they just love the experience and what the music gives to them. So that was a good perspective changer for me too.
Yeah, we didn't get to really ask her about a previous interview that she had, but she had mentioned raging into the microphone, right? So it's when I've never thought of music as therapeutic. I've thought of it as entertaining, but I've never thought of a singer being up there and getting therapy from their own performance. Whereas she's up there in a mic raging about all these things that are driving her crazy in the world, whether it is an injustice done to an individual or if it's what she had mentioned in an interview about people who become the celebrity. You know, now they're acting like douchebags.
Well, part of
the things that they expect.
That authenticity is the biggest part of that. Everybody recognizes she's up there singing from her heart, loving what she's doing, not just to perform for them. And that's authentic, and that's why it's appealing. That's what I have to go off.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, for me, music has only been therapeutic.
Really?
I have never looked at it as entertainment. Ever. Like, I've never went to a show.
I realized you were looking at me in a weird look. I'm like,
it kind of blew me away because music is so emotional to me. It's one of the things that's so close to my heart. And I mean, Candace said it. It saved her. It saved me. Like, I would be a worse of a mess of a human being than I am right now if I didn't have, those bands growing up telling me it'll be okay and to, I guess, like you said, to have an outlet to rage, somewhere. Now I just rebel slightly different than I did then. Now it's like society sucks in a lot of ways, so I'm out there putting good into it. Like, it doesn't get more punk rock than that, right? That's the way I see it.
Sure. And see, for me, I was more of a quieter, sensitive kid. So, like, I remember my first time my dad gave me Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's album. Headphones on, sat on the couch and listened to it and cried to songs and stuff like that because it really touched me emotionally. And so music was always a therapeutic thing. And I think now...
So I'm the odd man out.
You're the odd man out.
That's it.
Well,
I'm the odd man out.
You give me a hard time. My lady gives me a hard time because if I'm doing anything that's monotonous, cleaning, chores outside, my music is always going all the time because I like it's always in the background kind of feeding me.
Yep. I'm with you.
It's a big part of my life. My brother and I often say things, if you're stranded on a desert island, would you rather be without music or without sex? And I'm like, without sex. I couldn't do without music, for sure.
I'm the same way. Music all the way.
Yeah. I guess I'd be the only one getting it on.
Well,
you guys, you know what? The great part would be you'd be on the other side of the island because I wouldn't want you anywhere near my woman, and I could hear you guys jamming out while I'm getting it on.
We would have more food than you because you're making more mouths to feed. So who's smarter here? Just saying.
True. It's
just
true.
saying.
Thanks for throwing that down.
I knew
just saying.
Who wants to live to their 80 though?
So what do you got going on, Shane? What's next? What's coming up?
Well, as people can see, we are in our new studio. Maybe not by my backdrop. It might look similar, but we are in the new TPS Media Studio, and you can check out all the other shows that we produce at TPS Productions, tpspproductions.com. Check out those other shows. But that's what's going on right now. We're just filling in this new space. And
it rules, by the way.
Thank you very much.
It totally rules.
Getting audiobooks off the shelf, bringing in voiceover actors, and starting that whole new Frontier.
Frontier. That
I was thinking
sounds much more sexy. Frontier
very Star Trek-y, right?
Yeah.
Of the business is really cool for me.
What's that?
Yeah, it's close.
Okay, I don't know.
Sai, what about you? What do you got going on?
I'm just coming in, helping out producing the Primal Scream podcast, helping out produce the Bandwagon podcasts here in TPS Media. So I'm just enjoying life, man. And being part of this.
You know what? New episodes of The Relief at the Relief and Resource Center at joshuacoburn.com. And, of course, more episodes of Wellraiser Radio coming at you hopefully sooner than later. And for those of you who want to check out future episodes and old episodes for that matter, joshuacoburn.com. You can check them out. iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google the crap out of us for sure. You'll find us. But here at Wellraiser Radio, it's always
no judgment,
just kindness.
Boom, nailed it. Thanks for tuning in. Later, guys. I can't get it right now, but you're getting it right. Damn it. We're out. Thanks.